First of all, I want to thank Dr. Clement Schwartzinger for being our technical support and providing us with a Zoom from his university. So thank you very much for your time and commitment, Clemens. It's really appreciated. And thank you all of you for taking some time from your busy lives to join us. Uh-oh, I just lost my, just one second here. Oh, crumbs. There we go. Um, so we're now about to start the last program for 2024, and it's rather interesting. Gemquest is a nonprofit, nonpartisan gem education program that's been now going for 4 years officially as of today. And what we don't do, so you know ahead of time, is we do not broadcast in December. There's too many religious and other holidays and people being committed and busy. So it just makes it a lot easier on everybody. And our next program will be starting in 2025. And giving you a heads up, one of the things we can look forward to in 2025 is a program that's going to be presented by the director emeritus of Los Alamos, who's a very distinguished man, and he'll be telling us and teaching us about precious metals. And so I don't know too many people in this business that haven't at some point had to deal with or make or create or deal with or evaluate precious metals. And so we're going to have a chance in one program to learn all you really need to know about precious metals from one of the top world experts in the field. Um, Today, we're doing something a bit different. We're getting someone who is not going to use slides. They're going to use what my kids used to say when I give them bedtime stories out of my head. She's going to give us our program out of her head. And believe me, that's a very busy head. There's a lot of things rolling around in there. And that requires a lot of knowledge to know all the things that she's going to talk about. But the purpose of today was to try and give everybody a quick and dirty course in how to use the kind of tools you can carry with you in your backpack, or if you have a big purse or whatever in your baggage for when you travel and when you're in the field at shows looking to buy or even to look at gems and to understand what you're looking at, made even a little bit more clear. Now, all of us are, I'm sure, for the most part, will have had some exposure to the basic tools of gemology. And so that's what I'm saying. She'll be talking about old school. But let me just give you a little tiny bit about this nice lady. Antoinette Matlins is an internationally respected gem and jewelry expert and well-known author and lecturer whose expertise is sought worldwide by clients who retain her to seek fine, rare, and unusual gems and jewels for acquisition. She's been seen on CNN, ABC, NBC, CNBC. Notice that she's not on Fox, offering important consumer information or exposing fraud. She devotes much of her work to education and consulting within the trade, and thank God she took some time to share with us. She loves rocks, minerals, and gems, and it began in childhood. And she told me she's not just smart, she's lucky because of who she had as her dad. And in her childhood, she was exposed from when she was about 8 or 9, from what I understand. Something like 60 years now, she's been deeply immersed in the world of gemology. And that's no small thanks to the exposure she got during her childhood, and she grew up with her father. And she's continued ever since, even working in other fields. She was a senior vice president of new business in New York City before she went into the gem field full time. She began as gemology editor for the National Jeweler magazine, which led her to write the first of 8 highly acclaimed books on gems and jewelry, which, by the way, have sold over 1 million copies. During this time, she became a respected consumer advocate in the field, never failing to tell the whole story and giving all the information consumers needed to make sound choices and best meet their own needs, which, of course, is what we're trying to do today. Her most popular books, although we're not allowed to do ads since we're nonpartisan and non-commercial, but I have to tell you, so you may have some of these books. Jewelry and Gems, The Buying Guide, now published in 11 languages. Pretty impressive. Gem Identification Made Easy. Diamonds, The Antoinette Matlins Buying Guide. Engagement and Wedding Rings, The Definitive Buying Guide for People in Love. Colored Gemstones, The Antoinette Matlins Buying Guide, and the Pearl Book. My goodness. I don't know when she has time to have had, a life. So So what we're going to do today is Antoinette's going to share with us her knowledge about using basic and other tools to help save you in the field from making mistakes. And what we have agreed we're going to do, because she has so much information she wants to share with you, is occasionally I may say next to pull her back onto the next point in her program. So we keep it succinct and to the point. And I know that's going to be fun for Antoinette. And I hope for you. We very rarely have good storytellers on this program. So I think sit back and enjoy. And I'd like you to welcome Antoinette Matlins.
Thank you, Ray. And thank you, everyone who is joining us today. I really do initially owe it all to my father and a mother who was very supportive. And as one of 6 kids, I also have other brothers and sisters who have been interested in this field since they were also children of the same father. And one of our brothers is no longer with us. He was a wonderful gemologist. But I also have 2 sisters who are very active in the field and have been active professionally in the field since long before I actually got active professionally in the field. But they're wonderful, knowledgeable, and they keep up to date. And I want to emphasize the keep up to date, because as Dad always used to say, the only thing constant in the world of gems is change. New gems are discovered. Remember, we didn't have tanzanite in the market until the 1960s, and tsavorite not till the 1970s. Tsavorite being one of my favorite gems, and why I'm wearing this particular blouse today. It's a little light for the green I prefer in my tsavorite. But in addition, he always stressed the importance of, well, I'll start with a quote. Many of you have heard me quote this particular historian. There is no fraud or deceit in the world that yields greater gain and profit than that of counterfeiting gems. And this was written in 77 AD by the Roman historian Pliny. And it was already an art form then. I believe, and my father believed, that since the beginning of time, humans have looked for ways to imitate, duplicate, and pass off things that looked like what was created in nature and might not have been as they were originally produced by nature. And of course, with new synthetics and new treatments. But the good news is we also have new instrumentation with which to detect these things when we know how and actually use them. Now, I want to stress the use them part, because when I go to a gem show anywhere, I use my tools. And one of the most important tools I use, oh, by the way, this fits in my jacket pockets. This and my portable long wave, short wave UV lamp fit in any purse, even a small one, Ray, and I can carry them with me everywhere. And you might notice I have my own little mag light, because sometimes I need a mag light. And I also have a daylight type tube lamp that all of them fit in my handbag. And then, of course, my dark field loop, which fits right on top of my mag light. But there are different sizes of mag lights today, and there are also different sizes of dark field loops. So you have to make sure the one you're using fits the size mag light you have. But in any event, this is my original Chelsea filter. You notice it's very yellowish. That's not just from age. It was yellow to start with, all right? And it has inscribed on one side, Bonanno, and on the other side, Gemological Association of Great Britain, because that's where my father had his initial professional education and training. You will also maybe notice that this particular Chelsea filter is all cracked and broken. It got rolled over by a car. So I do have a more contemporary one now that's new, but it does still work. That's the important thing. Now, When I mention that I use my tools, and basically the loop, which I'm assuming all of you know how to use properly, and then of course we've added a dark field loop, which means we have to add a mag light so we have the light lighting it. But the Chelsea filter and a calcite dichroscope, those are the three tools I always used, always carried with me wherever I went. And when looking at colored gemstones, actually, I'm going to start with diamonds. Today, diamonds are, for those who are experienced, there's a certain visual attractiveness they have that sets them apart from others. They are colorless in terms of the type that are used mostly in the gem industry in the United States. They are a certain type. Most colorless diamonds are type 1, although there are very rare type 2 colorless diamonds as well. But when you're looking at colorless diamonds today, of course, we now have what are described as lab-grown diamonds flooding the market. They're not grown in labs. They were created by work in labs, but they are grown in huge machines in huge factories throughout China, Russia, and India. And they are really starting to flood the market. There are people who are afraid this will kill the natural diamond market because the trade press, as well as the public press, has stressed that there's no way to tell the difference with the eye alone, perhaps. But so far, and Catherine and Karen and others who may have been at the AGA conference, I think it was the last one in Vegas just before the pandemic. There was a producer, the 10.02 carat emerald cut E-color VS clarity stone was there for all of us to see. And in his presentation, the man who was from the producer indicated that the stones show no fluorescence. Again, I raised my hand at the end and I asked, did they check under both long wave and short wave radiation? And he said we wasn't sure he really understood the question, which of course was the answer to the question. They checked under long wave only. And that's because with naturally occurring diamonds, when they show fluorescence, it is under long wave. And if it did show something under long wave, it gets weaker under short wave. So nobody needed long wave and short wave if colorless diamonds were the thing they were looking at. Until the, I prefer the term synthetic diamonds entered the market. And interestingly, in the beginning, they may or may not have shown anything, particularly the CVDs under long wave, but they had intense fluorescence under short wave. So we're in Tucson or Vegas, whichever one it was, an AGA conference. And I asked the man if he had checked for under shortwave. He said he didn't think so because that was the first he'd heard of shortwave radiation. So I had my long wave, shortwave portable lamp with me. We asked if we could look at the diamond. I had a black tray because to use a UV lamp properly, what you're viewing should be viewed against flat black, all right? And you should be in a totally dark space and give your eyes a few minutes time to adjust to the dark, or have a viewing cabinet where you put something that is, and it's totally dark. But under the circumstances, since I needed the short wave and the long wave, and I needed lots of people to see, we just got under the table, which had a skirt. And it happened to be a black skirt going around the table. You could see our legs sticking out, but we tried to get as little light into that dark space as we could. We put his 10 karat diamond on my black pad. I pull out my portable light, nothing under long wave. Under short wave, intense yellowish, greenish fluorescence, greenish, yellowish fluorescence, whatever color your eyes saw, but definitely fluorescence under shortwave. To this day, I have not seen, even though I keep hearing that they're making them now that show no fluorescence. I try to check at every show with the diamond dealers who are selling, quote, lab-grown diamonds. And yet, I have yet to find one that did not show a fluorescent reaction under shortwave, even if it didn't under longwave. And you do have to wait, sometimes a significant period of time. In fact, Dr. Thomas Henschwang has pointed out in checking fluorescence on many gemstones, he has left them under the radiation for 30 minutes or more before the reaction presents itself. So it does take understanding how to do it and how long to do it, and that both wavelengths are noticed, and it should be in a dark room on a black or dark background, and so on and so forth. So it's learning how to use it and using it correctly. Chelsea filter.
Antoinette, can we go back to the Chelsea filter if that's okay?
Yes, Chelsea filter. It's a simple tool to use. It's a small, portable tool to use. Fits in my shirt pocket, pants pocket. I'm looking for my one that's not cracked. My good one. Here we go. All right. Now, several things you have to learn. The filter has to be next to the eye. Do you see where I'm holding it? I can be 6 feet away from the stone if the stone is being illuminated from a strong light. An example, and I remember a particular emerald dealer in New York, and my sisters can attest to this, who said the day he needed any tool to know he was looking at a genuine emerald was the day he would retire. His eye, he said, told him everything he needed to know. So we're at a big show in Tucson, and there was a new type of synthetic emerald that had entered the market, and it had the flux groans, there were even some inclusions in it. Anyway, his centerpiece was an emerald about this big, well into 6 figures. I'm not expecting to see anything with my Chelsea filter, other than if it's Colombian, I want to see red. But I was also using this thing that was developed by 2 guys. Unfortunately, both of them have died. The synthetic emerald filter, it is referred to by most people as the Hanneman Hodgkinson filter, okay? So I have the Chelsea filter in one hand and the synthetic emerald filter in the other hand. Usually, I always knew looking with just the Chelsea filter because, for example, Colombian emeralds would go extremely red through this filter. The deeper the red, the deeper the color, the deeper the red, the lighter the color, the lighter the red, as we could see right here with my genuine emerald and synthetic emerald. Well, I'm not sure how I can show this, but I guess I'm just going to have to tell you, because if I
don't think it's going to work, Antoinette, to be honest with you.
If I put it, it should be, I don't know if you could, it's on a light background. It should be on something light beige, light gray, something very light tone. You hold the filter to your eye. You put your mag light at its most intense beam. I am now going to set this down, but I'm going to have the light shining down on the emerald so that it is reflecting back toward my eye. That's not going to be easy for you to see, but you can see that the light, hey, I don't know if you can, but anyway, this is not going to work so well, but I hold the filter to my eye and the light close to the gem I'm looking at. Unless I'm at a show and the lights are beaming down on top of all of the gems in the showcase, in which you don't need your mag light, but you need the filter to the eye. So I'm walking past this guy's exhibit, this filter to my eye, and usually if it's a synthetic, it's too red through this filter. And then when you use the other filter, it's still red because it's picking up the too much ratio in the formula that differs from nature when humans make them. So I looked at this piece, I thought, wow, that's a strong reaction. And then I brought out the synthetic emerald filter and I used it. And guess what, folks? It was still red, meaning synthetic. Now, at the last Tucson show, I told people that, you know, if you're buying emeralds, be sure to look at the emeralds. And if you've never used a Chelsea filter before, start looking at every emerald you're looking at. Not all emeralds go red through the Chelsea filter, but when they do, so do many of the flux-grown synthetics. Be sure to check with the synthetic filter. And somebody said, you're telling me I should check when I'm at an AGTA show with all of these reputable dealers? I said, absolutely. Well, that's kind of embarrassing. It's like we don't trust them. I said, it's not a matter of trust. It's a matter of doing due diligence for yourself. And also, sometimes they don't do due diligence when they're buying. So we're walking through the show, and I get to this major emerald dealer's booth, and here is his six-figure cost, big, gorgeous emerald. And this, and this, and in 2 seconds, I knew it was synthetic. He couldn't believe it. And of course, it was a new filter, so maybe it hadn't been tested well enough, and maybe I was overreacting to its extremely strong reaction to the Chelsea filter. So we went up to the immersion microscope that GIA had in the entry hall, and we had a couple of their major gemologists handy. It was 100% synthetic, and it was confirmed with the microscope and the immersion microscope. They were having lots of fun with this stone, but of course the dealer wasn't having fun at all, because he bought it as a natural Colombian emerald of magnificent quality, and he was taken. He retired shortly thereafter. And I was really sad, because it could have happened to anyone. He didn't have to retire. He just needed the right filters to take with him. In any event, that's green. When I'm looking at green stones, I hope I will see red, because all of the most valuable, beautiful green stones, colored gemstones that I have encountered, like Tsavorite, it goes red through the Chelsea filter. Chrome tourmaline goes red with the Chelsea filter. Tsavorite garnet goes red with the Chelsea. I mean, all of my favorite green gems go red with the Chelsea filter. Colombian emeralds, or chromium type emeralds, I call them chromium type emeralds, have this wonderful reaction through the Chelsea filter. So it's fast and it's easy. Fast forward, this past year, I was at a show, and a very, very well-known emerald dealer, sapphire dealer, was showing me, oh, green stones, I hope I'll see red. Blue stones, I hope I won't see red, with the exception that there are some blue spinels that have chromium and may go red through a Chelsea filter, but most of your most valuable blue stones show no reaction through the Chelsea filter, in particular sapphires, all right? Blue sapphires will not, unless once in a blue moon. There are some from Kashmir, and actually the chromium is in the colorless zone, so you might get this reddish bloom sort of as you're looking at it. That could be an indication you're really looking at a fine Kashmir sapphire, but generally blue sapphires don't, right? So I have a tray here that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 blue stones. This one is the largest one. I don't know if you can see it. Rich, deep blue emerald cut, okay? Now, it's not supposed to go red with the Chelsea filter, because they don't. See if I can do this the right way. Hold on.
I don't think you can adequately demonstrate it for us. It's going to be too awkward.
Well, it goes ruby red. I mean, beyond ruby red through the Chelsea filter. And it is, in fact, a synthetic sapphire blue spinel. And they make synthetic spinel in virtually every color. And you've heard of the composite emeralds with colorless synthetic spinel top and bottom, and green glue holding the two pieces together. And there are other types of composites. People think that if it's old, it's the real thing. How many people do you know who think because they've inherited something that was their mother's or their grandmother's or their great-grandmother's that it's got to be the real thing? More often than not, the older it is, the more often you are surprised in a not good way. And it's just because we didn't have the science of gemology until relatively recent history. And other than the miners or the cutters, people were using their eye alone, and mistakes were made. Sometimes it was not deliberate fraud or deceit, but ignorance on the part of the buyer/seller, and you get these things passed on to you. But red stones are another one of my favorites. So blue stones, I don't want to see red, and this blue spinel. And by the way, just a couple of years ago, there was a big conference in Washington, D.C. It was open to the public as well as to the trade. And there was a man waiting for his wife to show up because he was there to buy her a blue sapphire in the public part of the show. And he had heard me say over and over again, if you're looking at a blue sapphire, it should not go red. So he asked if he could borrow my Chelsea filter just long enough for him to check out sapphires with his wife. One of them, I had several. So he took one of my Chelsea filters. He's gone for several hours. Comes out, all of a sudden, he's throwing his arms around me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I said, for what? He said, for saving me from a $16,000 mistake. I said, what do you mean? Before he could answer, the dealer comes running out, yelling and screaming at me, and he's going to have the show owner throw me out because I killed his sale. The show producer owner comes out, who happened to study gemology with my father. And the guy starts telling him how I had killed his sale because it was a sapphire. And I told them, the guy who was looking at it, that it couldn't be a sapphire if it showed a certain color through this thing. And it's a sapphire. He had his sales receipt. And Herb said to him, was this the thing she said shouldn't go read through? Yes, yes. He said, where's the sapphire? And of course, the guy has it in his hand because he was ready to knock me out and then go seek the guy who was going to buy it and change his mind. He looks through the Chelsea filter and he looks at the dealer and he said, vacate the show immediately. You don't know what you are buying and selling. I don't care what's on your sales receipt. You bought something that is not what it was represented to be, and I'm not going to have ignorant dealers selling things that they've mistakenly bought and then sell them for something they're not. Now, this also happens a lot of the time. And this is why I use my tools all the time. So now, fast forward, I'm looking at chrome tourmalines. I need to buy a pair for earrings for one of my clients. And I'm looking at various dealers who sell chrome tourmalines. And I get to this one I know for a long time, honest, ethical, very knowledgeable. And he has a tray of matched pairs. And I'm looking at the tray and I look at a couple. I think, the color of these doesn't look quite the same as these others. Are you sure they're all chrome tourmaline? He said, absolutely. I bought them in Eder Oberstein, the cutting center for, centuries for fine colored gems. And I pulled out my Chelsea filter. Chrome tourmaline goes red through the Chelsea filter due to the chromium. The ones I said didn't look right to me showed no red. The others all did, and they showed a strong red. He said, what are you talking about? Of course they show red. He pulls his own Chelsea filter out of his pocket and looks at them and says, what the? And then he wonders if somebody switched the stones. So he pulls out his own receipt. The gems, the weights, the sizes, we check. Every one of those stones were the stones he bought that were on that sales receipt. And I said, you know to check. How many times have we talked about these things? He said, yeah, but when I'm in Eder Oberstein, who thinks you would be buying something that isn't? I said, accidents happen. Maybe somebody dropped a couple of parcels and they were picking them up and the girls helping out didn't know those are chrome tourmalines and these are the others and didn't know the price difference, or maybe they did. Or maybe somebody just picked out a few to make a quick profit on the side by themselves and substitute something else. I said, I can't answer that. All I can say is if you have a simple portable tool, take it and use it. And my sisters and I, we always pull out our tools and use them at the counter. And this,
Next,
okay, next. So
red.
it's the fastest, the easiest. It's best for parcels or pieces of jewelry that all have the same stone. Okay? If it's the same stone in the same color, maybe slightly lighter or darker shades of the same color, whatever you see with this should be the same for all of the stones in the piece. This piece, lighter and darker shades of the same stone. It took me 5 seconds to know they weren't all the same stone because I was seeing strong red in the bigger ones in the piece. My pink topaz necklace that's not, this is an antique piece that dates to the early mid 1800s. Notice the backs of all of those stones are closed back. The gold is not, covers the whole entire back of the stones. Now, in olden days, they would do that to help add some brightness and sparkle to the piece because cutting wasn't what it is these days. Those are all foil backed. I took out 2 stones and I have the foil and those 2 colorless stones in my little parcel paper so I can show people what they really are. This was sold by a major auction house in New York City. And interestingly, when I went to see what they would say, when I knew because one of the pieces of foil, the foil backing, the gold, has been cracked and air was getting in and this foil coloring changed. So you could see that that one was, that looked weird, funky color. And you looked at the back and you could see the crack in the gold and you knew air was causing oxidation. So I knew it was foil backed. And when I came back and I explained that, he said, we didn't in the bold print say pink topaz necklace. We said topaz necklace. They are topaz. Whether or not they were pink, we couldn't tell. So we didn't claim they were pink, but we're not responsible for proving that they were pink. You bought a topaz necklace. That's the only thing that was in the bold print. So we're not giving you back your money. And that's fine, because I've had lots of fun talking about this necklace all around the world and talking about it in my books and so on and so forth. So anyway, use the Chelsea filter. Use your eye. Look at the settings. The other portable thing I use all the time, of course, is my calcite microscope, because
The synthetic emerald filter, did you cover that?
I thought I covered the synthetic emerald filter.
Okay, yep.
Okay, anybody?
Yep.
Yes.
We're
Okay.
good.
And the Chelsea filter and the synthetic emerald filter. And when looking at, in general, you hope you'll see red when you're looking at green stones because your most valuable ones do go red through the Chelsea filter in most cases. When you're looking at blue stones, you hope you won't see red because the most valuable blue stones don't show a red reaction, with the exception of some Kashmir sapphires and some tanzanite. If it has a really strong purple, it may also go red through the Chelsea filter. But in my book, if anybody has it, and they're in libraries in lots of places, I have a chapter on exactly what you should see with the Chelsea filter, gemstone by gemstone. But in order to know whether that gemstone is showing that color, you actually have to use the tool. And it's fast and it's easy. And as I said, for parcels of stones, for jewelry with multiple stones, supposedly the same thing, aquamarine bracelet at the JCK show, I used my little Chelsea filter. No, it was a mix of aquamarines and synthetic spinels. And the color through the Chelsea filter instantly said, nope, those aren't all real aquamarines. So just use it. Red stones, you hope, rubies get a little redder through the Chelsea filter. Synthetic rubies get whoa, over the top red through the Chelsea filter, and the pink sapphires as well. And I just had this week somebody who had bought 3 stones in Sri Lanka. His father had bought them. One was a ruby, one was a rich, deep pink sapphire, and the other was a, quote, very rare, absolutely transparent, colorless sapphire. That's what they were told when they bought them in Sri Lanka. The father died, the sister and brother trying to find out what they really are. All 3 were synthetics. The synthetic ruby, the pink sapphire, but the pink sapphire, its reaction through the Chelsea filter, I almost laughed out loud. And I said to him, I said, there's no question. I'd already checked, it was technically sapphire. I said, it's synthetic. And what do you mean synthetic? I said, you know, made by humankind's machines, and not nature. So I submitted those stones to the American Gemological Laboratory, AGL, this past week, and they called and they said they weren't even going to charge me for the reports. Of course, when I took them, I said, I am 99.9% confident that they are all synthetic. However, they need a report now from a qualified lab. So I'm hoping you'll surprise me and tell me I was wrong so I can give them good news, but I'm not holding my breath. And she called and said, you were right, Antoinette, they're all synthetics. And we're doing the little cards for you now, so they have the laboratory documentation that they're not genuine. But they had believed this all the time. I mean, the father bought them thinking they were the real thing. I have no idea what he paid for them. I know they were insured for a lot of money on their insurance appraisal. And unfortunately for the children, they're worth next to nothing. And that's the problem with these kinds of things. So anyway, the blue gems, the red gems, you hope you'll see a little redder, but not super glow, the dark reaction difference, okay? And
Next.
green, blue, red. I think I've covered at least the examples. And it's all stuff you can see with your Chelsea filter, using it properly, good strong light on the stone, filter to your eye, what do you see? And if you're not sure, check my book on what you're supposed to see if it's A, B, C, or D gemstone. So that's Chelsea filter. And it is fast, and it's really great for parcels and multi-stone pieces. Dichroscope. I've got all these blue stones. And just quickly, for those who don't understand what dichroscope is all about, it's for colored stones only. We say there are dichroic and trichroic stones, or those that have no dichroism or trichroism. If the stone forms in the cubic crystal system, it will virtually not show dichroism because one ray goes into the stone and one ray goes out. In stones that are what we call doubly refracting, the ray of light, that's most colored gemstones, one ray goes in and the material causes it to split. And depending upon how far apart they travel from one another and the speed they're going through the stone, what you'll see when you use this little thing is 2 colors. It could be 2 shades of the same color. It could be totally different colors. In a trichroic stone, and by the way, for this, you have the stone in one hand. You have the dichroscope right up next to your eye, and usually there's a round end and a square end, so you know which end to look through. With this dichroscope, I know to look through the large round end. And then when I look through it, I will see 2 windows at the end of it. In each of those windows, if you hold this stone up to the dichroscope, can you see what I'm doing here? And then it's important that you have plenty of light coming through the stone. So I'm going to hold it up to the light. You can't see that there's a light up there, but there is. So I'm holding it so that the light is brightly illuminating the stone. I don't have to be, again, right up at the light. I just have to make sure plenty of light is coming through the stone, right? And then when I have the light coming through the stone, I rotate the dichroscope at least 90 degrees. I like to teach kids, young people or inexperienced people, to turn it 360 degrees, and you'll see when you get all the way around whether it's the same color in both windows or not. And you note the difference. All right, so this one, okay, both windows are showing the same color. When I look from the top to the bottom, in other words, this way through the stone. So I didn't see dichroism, that saw the same color in both windows. Now I'm going to turn it and look from a different direction. Instead of looking top to bottom, I'm going to look through the side this way. And then if I don't see it, I'm going to check it through the side going across the other way. And then when all else fails, there are two diagonals, this diagonal, this diagonal. To know for sure, you have to check every direction to ensure that you are seeing the same color in both windows. And you have to remember to turn the dichroscope, right? Make sure light's coming through it. Now, if you've checked all 5 directions and it's the same color, it reduces the number of stones it can be. It means they have to be from the cubic crystal system. Now, that's some important stones, one of them being spinel, one of them being garnet. And of course, there's some very beautiful, costly garnets in the market today, and some very beautiful, costly spinels in the market today. And of course, diamonds in different colors, okay, very nice stones in the market today. But most of the gemstones that do not show dichroism are either synthetic spinel or glass or GGG, or one of those other things out there that are imitating for sure something else. So the dichroscope is critically important for colored gemstones. Using it correctly is important. Look through the correct end so you see the 2 little windows at the bottom. Rotate the dichroscope. Check from different directions. Now, there are dichroic stones and there are trichroic stones, but there are only 2 windows in the dichroscope. And I bet you can figure out what you have to do. Let's say in this direction, I see 2 colors. And then I check on this diagonal and I see one of the same colors I had seen, but the color in the other window is different. It might be a lighter or darker shade of the same color. It could be a totally different color. But you have to check every direction to know for sure if you're seeing 2 colors or 3 colors. You may see the same 2 colors in this direction, and the same 2 colors or shades of color or different colors in this direction. Everything is the same in most directions. And then all of a sudden, you're looking in one of your directions and you see one of the colors you have seen before and a color you have not seen before. That's your 3rd color. You can only see 2 colors at a time, but if you check the stone from all the possible directions, you will know if there is a 3rd color that is not seen throughout the stone. Any questions on that? No, I'm not going to ask about questions now. Okay, so I'll wait, I'll save that. Okay, so that's the dichroscope. Between the dichroscope and the Chelsea filter and nothing else, you can identify most, I'd like to say 95% of the colored gemstones you will encounter in the market. And if you use those 2 together, the Chelsea filter and the dichroscope, you might be up to more than 90% of the stones, or enough to know something's wrong. Now, if you don't know anything when you use the Chelsea filter, but you know not all of the stones that are the same color are showing the same reaction, you know you've got mixed things either in the parcel or in the piece of jewelry. In the dichroscope, you expect to see the same 2 colors from most of the directions if it's dichroic. If you're only seeing the same color in every window, if you're looking down the major axis, I'm blanking, but
Through the table.
thank you. If you're looking in just one direction, you may be looking where you're only going to see the same color in both directions. That's why you have to check all the directions. Okay, but when you see it, when you see dichroism or trichroism, you know it cannot be anything that is singly refracting. It cannot be glass. It can't be diamond. It can't be spinel. I'm sorry, that big blue one isn't a rich blue spinel. Okay, and so on and so forth. So by knowing that it's only a short list, it's like 6 stones that will not show dichroism. So those families are what you will be looking at if you only see the same thing through the dichroscope in all the directions you check. All right, so that's the dichroscope and the Chelsea filter. Now the loop. I'm not going to waste time. I'm assuming anybody who belongs to this group knows how to use a loop. So the only thing I'm saying is when you know what the material is, sapphire, or I should say corundum, spinel, you use your loop to show you what's inside the stone, the inclusions, the combination of types of inclusions, and so on and so forth. And you may need to add a microscope, but if you're doing it with portable tools alone, your loop is the best thing you're going to have. Now, I suggest you start with the 10-power loop. You see what you can see in the stone. You make a notation as to what that is and what it might mean in terms of the material itself, if you know what kinds of inclusions occur in sapphires versus rubies versus topaz and so on. And usually the loop is enough, but if you can't see the inclusions well enough, I know people who carry both a 10-power loop and a 20-power loop. They check first with the 10-power loop to zero in on what's in the stone. Then they try to find the same inclusions with their 20-power to try to see it better. So that's basically the loop. Now, this ring, I don't know if you can see, it's a big red stone. Great big red stone. Like 12 carats. Was sold at auction as a ruby. The person checked the RI. It was an RI for ruby. Looking at it with your naked eye, it isn't really very transparent. It's more translucent because it's really heavily included. But who would think that it was a lead glass filled ruby? Technically a composite. It's more than one substance joined together to imitate something it isn't. This isn't even a ruby. It may be some form of corundum in some color. It is so heavily fractured, and it was immersed in vats of melted lead glass, because lead has an RI that is essentially, they formulate the lead glass to have the same refractive index, RI, as ruby. That's why when you tested it on a refractometer, it said ruby. But if you immerse this in the right chemical, as Chris Smith did at AGL, you can just watch all that red glass come out of the stone. And in fact, one of them fell apart after he immersed it in the liquid. But these were being sold, and in the beginning, GIA actually identified them as corundum species, ruby, with a comment that lead glass present in fissures in the stone. Yeah, but when it's 50% lead glass, that's how much was fissures that were filled with this red material. And when you figure that lead glass also weighs more than ruby, it wasn't even the weight represented it to be. So you have increased weight by whatever price per carat is being asked for it. When you do not have that stone to begin with, in that quality to begin with, and you have another additive that the best ones we saw were 20% lead glass when we destroyed them and melted all the stuff out of it. And some of them were 50 and 60% lead glass. And these are still flooding the market, mostly in older pieces coming back into the market. And I've actually seen them at a couple of, not Sotheby's or Christie's, but some of the other lesser known auction houses that don't have up-to-date gemologists working for them, selling these as rubies. And they're not. But that's, in fact, there's a book that was written by a colleague of mine from the AGA, Is That Really a Ruby? By Craig Lynch. And he shows you all of the ways, including, do you see all those, I don't know if you can see all these marks on the top. This is the fractures reaching the surface and where the coloration has changed slightly, where the glass has been worn down and you can see a reflectivity difference and so on. But all the ways you can easily spot, is that really a ruby? No, it's not. It's a lead glass filled composite ruby. Two things put together to try to imitate something it is not. So there's that. Let's move on to another kind of blue stone that I really love.
Are you going to do the UV light first, Antoinette?
I'm going to do the, I will do that with these right now, but Paraíba tourmaline, one of my personal favorites. In this little thing I have, which has 4 stones in it, this stone here on this end and the other one over here, those are natural Paraíba tourmalines. And then this one is glass, the teardrop shape on the end. And then there are a couple of other synthetics that are in here. Oh, sorry, one is apatite, 2 are the Paraíba tourmalines, and 1 is a synthetic something. All right, now what we can do is first I'm going to use the Chelsea filter. And you will notice through the Chelsea filter, you get different reactions altogether. The 2 Paraíba tourmalines have the same reaction. The other 2 are, one is purplish, reddish, really totally different reaction. And the one, the apatite, does not go reddish, but it is a totally different shade of color than the Paraíba tourmalines. Now I'm going to put them, let's see, on the UV lamp. Okay, so I was supposed to be receiving some lab-grown diamonds that were supposed to have come in by no later than yesterday. They have not arrived, so I don't have the lab-grown diamonds to show. But I do have other things to show you how important. I just need to get the top of this box off. Hold on. So I have a black environment to put the stones on. First, I'm going to start with this tray of 4 blue sapphires. They're not very fine. They're $5 a carat, so they're great for teaching. All right, hold on a minute. See, I just dropped 2 of them off, but I see them. Hold on a second here. Here, hold on a second. No, I see that they are. Okay.
Can you tell us what you're doing as you're doing it, please?
I'm just trying to turn them over so they won't roll off the tray when I go to put the UV lamp over them in case I move them again. I better close the spigot. I apologize for being in a bathroom for this demonstration. I'm renting an apartment and the furnishings have not yet been unpacked, and so I have no place to do this except the counter in the bathroom. Come on, turn over. Okay, there we go.
That'll be the first time we've ever had a broadcast from a.
Okay. I'm going to try to. So when I turn off the light, hopefully you'll be able to see some of the stuff that occurs here.
As long as they don't fall off.
Okay, now all I have to do is find the lamp. Do you see the, can any of
You're
you
below
see?
the level of the camera, Antoinette. We still can't see.
Hold on. There's one that is fluorescing a very strong orangey color, and one that's fluorescing a very strong reddish color. White, what's showing white? Oh, that's the lamp. Hold on. Uh,
We're not able to see it, I'm sorry to say, Antoinette.
okay. Well, hold on. I have to turn.
You're keeping us in the dark.
Keeping me in the dark too. Okay. I really wish I could show these to you. These are $5 per carat sapphires, and 2 of them are not sapphires at all. They're synthetic spinels. And you think when you're buying the cheap stuff, why bother? But people do. All right, now, hold on a second. Since I don't have the diamonds to show you, I will show you one thing. And I think you'll be able to see this demo. Okay. We are looking at one of my rings. I'm going to take it off my fingers. And sorry, I can't see which is the long wave, short wave end. Okay, so that's the short wave end. Okay. One of these diamonds, you should be able to see the strong blue reaction of one of them. Oh, come on, right next to the pearl, it's this one right here on this end.
Oh yeah, we can see that, just glimpses of it.
Okay, and the other one doesn't. Now that's under long wave. Now I'm going to short wave. This is the thing that's going to be, I really hope you can see. Wait, I'm going back to the long wave side. Hold on. You see it's fluorescing right down here. The other one over here, you can't even see because it's not fluorescing. This one is fluorescing under long wave very strongly and blue. When I go to the short wave side, it gets much fainter. Let's see. Wait, let me go to the other side now.
really hard to demonstrate, I know.
It's so clear to me here looking at it, and I thought maybe it would be visible how strong it is there. And then how much weaker it gets under the short wave.
What is it we're looking at?
This is a diamond, okay, a naturally occurring diamond. When, oh geez, I didn't mean to put that back in the sink. Literally, hold on. Okay, when a diamond, colorless diamond, fluoresces, it can fluoresce any color. It can fluoresce blue. There are some people who say that when it fluoresces blue under long wave, that's an indication that it is in fact a naturally occurring diamond. I haven't had enough experience to say that with certainty. What I can say with certainty is that when a naturally occurring diamond, colorless type diamond, fluoresces, it gets weaker, whatever it shows under long wave, and you use long wave first, it gets weaker under short wave. The other thing to know when using an ultraviolet lamp, particularly the desk type models, as opposed to the portable models. That's just not going to work. When it fluoresces whatever color it fluoresces, it is stronger under long wave. When you then switch to the short wave output, it gets fainter. And with lab-grown diamonds, it is just the reverse. It may show nothing under long wave, but then an intense reaction under short wave, as that 10-carat diamond I mentioned earlier did in the conference. So when you are looking at any diamond anywhere in jewelry, and particularly jewelry where they have mixed, like pave jewelry, little tiny diamonds, lots of them, and there are many unscrupulous sources that have realized they can make a lot more profit if they substitute a number of those little tiny diamonds with synthetic diamonds, because nobody's checking the little itty bitty diamonds with laboratory reports, particularly when it's set in jewelry. All you need is a long wave, short wave lamp, and you check the fluorescence, and some will fluoresce. Natural diamonds may not fluoresce under long wave, but they won't fluoresce under short wave either, because if it's nothing to start off with, it's hard to be less than nothing. But if they're lab grown, they may show nothing under long wave. And then when you go to the short wave side, you see fluorescence. Every one of those diamonds that fluoresced under the short wave in the pave sizes are not genuine diamonds, they're lab grown. And
Are there any other stones, Antoinette, that would be useful use of the black light to determine between whatever values you want to determine?
again, rubies. You might be able to see this one. When not all rubies do fluoresce, but all of these synthetic flux grown rubies fluoresce, but they fluoresce too strongly. So what I'm going to do is turn off.
I know.
I tried to get my granddaughter to come and help me. She could at least have turned the lights off, but she had other plans for today with my great grandson, so I forgave her because it was with my great grandson. If it had just been her, I'd have had a problem. Okay. I got it. Okay. This rubies do get a little redder when you check their fluorescence, but this one gets like over the top red. Can you, oh, you can't see it, sorry. Let me.
The stone is not visible, Antoinette. I'm sorry.
Oh, I see it fell down into that tray. Maybe now I can get it.
We can't see. Oh, there it is. Just slightly in the bottom of the screen.
Oh,
There
wait,
it is. Slightly, yeah.
you see,
It's like a little red neon light.
yes, exactly. This is the synthetic one. It's much too red under the UV than a natural ruby would be. And if you, generally speaking, if you start using these tools on a regular basis, and this one is the plug-in, not the portable one. But even with my portable, I get the exact same kinds of reaction. Too red. If you take any gem you're buying, or I suggest to people who are inexperienced, start with whatever gem you want, sapphire, ruby, emerald, tanzanite. Use all of your tools, or start with just one. Start with the Chelsea filter and look at all of the tanzanites that you're looking at with that Chelsea filter and note the reactions. And then you do the same thing with rubies or with emeralds or sapphires. You begin to know what to expect. By the end of the show, if you've used just that one tool or just that one gem, by the end of the show, you'll know what the natural stones should look like. And then if you're like, this is the same, this is the same, this is the same, this is the same, whoops, wait a minute, this is different. There's a reason it's different. It's not that your eye or the machine is screwing up. So you have to check further. If any of the tools give you an indication that something's not quite right, remember we have synthetics, we have new treatments, we have surface coatings, we have irradiation, we have lots of different things that alter the appearance of stones. Some of those things get deliberately mixed in with parcels to try to up the profit on the parcel, and you'll pick them up with your simple tools. I'm talking colored gemstones here. With diamonds, there are naturally occurring diamonds, and anything else that's not diamond, even the fluorescent reaction is different. The things you see in the dark field loop are different. The things that you see with your microscope, if it's a fancy color, are different. But if you don't use the tools, you don't see the red flags. And since all of them, as I pointed out earlier, I carry my little, everything fits in this and this. And I have enough to know what I am looking at, or equally important is when I don't
Hello,
know
sweet.
enough. Sorry, I don't know enough. And
Oh, what was the theme?
So
what?
someone needs to be muted.
Oh, great.
Pamela,
Lovely. Lovely, sweet.
mute, please.
Dad's still speaking with him. I'm on my Zoom talk. This silly lady, Antoinette Matlins, talking about gemological instruments, which is pretty.
Could we have a mute on that
But
until
anyway.
the end, please?
So-
Thank you. So Antoinette,
Oh, sorry. So I was going to say, if you know that you don't know enough, there's something that's not quite right. Maybe it's a new deposit that does something differently. Maybe it's, but if you're not 100% sure that something isn't wrong, then you need to send it to a gem testing laboratory with the more sophisticated tools that can be used that can confirm what the material really is. I can't afford some of the equipment that GIA has or AGL has. Thomas Henschwing is right next door to this major university, and he has access in Liechtenstein to all kinds of equipment that the average person doesn't. So he has lots of fun with the gems he looks at. But most of us don't have that, but we have enough with the portable tools when they are telling us everything they should be telling us stone by stone, first with your Chelsea filter, then with your microscope and so on, you can feel assured that that is in fact, you are buying what they are telling you you are buying. And if it doesn't, or something's awry, you know you have to check further, or you need to check with tools you don't have with you when you're on the, on the floor at a show. If there's any question, depending upon the price, make sure the sale is contingent upon confirmation of the facts once you are able to get the proper testing done when you leave the show. And I always say, I don't care if you're a consumer or you're in the trade, when you are buying from anyone, the type of stone should be, for example, not just topaz, pink topaz, right? Natural color, natural pink topaz, or natural color topaz. You want everything they're representing it to be put in writing on the sales receipt. And if for any reason they are not willing to do that, then I'd move on to a different seller. And if they do it, don't make the mistake of assuming that because they put all the facts in writing, they must be telling the truth, because if they misrepresent, you can take them to court, or you can sue them, and in the United States, in the United States, if somebody sells you something that is not what it is represented to be, most people don't know this, you have the choice of getting your money back or demanding it be replaced with an item that was as described on their sales receipt, which could sometimes be a better way to go for the knowledgeable person. But most people who are not knowledgeable enough and don't know, have sources or additional resources, the best thing to do is just return it and get your money back, and just not do business with that person in the future.
Antoinette, can you give us that last closing comment about getting complete disclosure in writing? Just to emphasize that one point.
I want to emphasize that point strongly. If somebody is selling you a pair of chrome tourmalines weighing X number of carats each and measuring X by X by X, you want everything that would be important to recognize and identify that stone as the stone that you actually took away from the source. So they can't say that wasn't in that parcel. You've replaced it. We know we gave you genuine chrome tourmalines or genuine aquamarines or genuine diamonds or whatever. No, in writing, what the item is, diamond, what color it is, what weight it is, what clarity it is, anything and everything that makes you want that stone should be in writing. And treatment. I always say, and you always have to ask, is the color natural? Are there any other treatments that have been used to enhance this stone? Are you sure there are no fillers, etc.? Everything related to treatments, related to quality factors, and related to the color and identification of the stone should always be in writing on the sales receipt, even at a trade show.
I agree. Thanks very much, Antoinette. That was a lovely talk. You are probably the most colorful speaker we've had in a long time, I have to say. Clemens,
I'm sorry,
can
I
you
get
help us out?
distracted. One thing leads me to another thing, and most people who know me know that my brain does not work on a straight line. It kind of
Yeah.
goes like this. But
I'm going to ask Clemens to see if he has any questions for you to answer, Antoinette.
Sure.
Let me
From
check.
chat.
Talk, let's say, going up to keep. Yeah, I don't see a lot of really.
One question was, what kind of black light do you use?
Okay, it has to be both wavelengths, long wave and short wave. This is a portable one that's made by Analytica Jenna. I could spell it. It's ANALYTIKJENA. I bought this one in Europe. It's small, it's portable, it's lightweight, and it's battery operated. I need just a couple of AA batteries in it. I have 4 AA batteries in it. And this one is more powerful. the intensity of the output is greater. So it will show you something faster, but it needs to be plugged in. Now, I have no problem with that. Before the portable ones, I still took a long wave, shortwave, ultraviolet lamp with me, and I would plug it in. I'd have the person who I'm looking say, well, we can go to the ladies' room because we can turn off the lights and turn it, or a closet. I actually went into a closet at Tiffany and Company years ago with a client because they were representing it to be something that didn't look right. And we went in, turned on a long wave, shortwave, ultraviolet lamp and looked at it, and everything that I suspected was correct. So
I'm glad you came out of the closet.
yeah.
Anyway, from being broadcast from a bathroom or going into closets with the black light, that is amazing.
Okay, and you can know one of the Bonanno girls. My maiden name, of course, was Bonanno, and I have a sister who goes by the name of Bonanno, and another one who everybody knows is one of us. Okay, if you're going to the gem show anywhere in the world, and there are skirted tables, you know what I'm talking about, the skirts that go around the long tables and the reception areas or the check-in areas or whatever. If the only place we can find to get a dark environment is to go under the table and you see legs sticking out, you can be fairly sure it's one of us.
Ha, ha. Oh my gosh.
But
Anyway,
Antoinette, there's another question. What is the color of the Paraiba with the Chelsea filter?
okay, the color of the oh, I'm so glad somebody asked that. Where's my tray? Here it is. I wish there was some way that you could all see the colors. I'm going to try to turn it, of these Paraibas. These are some of the most beautiful Paraibas I have ever had. Two of them. The two small ovals are the genuine Paraibas, and they're an amazing color. And there's one in the middle that is a Paraiba colored apatite. And then there's the one on the end that is a synthetic corundum, Paraiba colored corundum. Through the Chelsea filter, the only one that goes red is the one that is the synthetic corundum Paraiba colored. But the apatite, while it is still a greenish, bluish greenish color, more greenish through this filter, the color of the two Paraibas and the color of the apatite are totally different shade of the color you're seeing. So you can instantly spot these two are a match. This one's totally different. Can't be the same material because the color, the hue itself is, it's a green, it's a grayish greenish, not a bluish greenish like these are, or yellowish greenish. I mean, depending upon what the stone might be, you could get any coloration that could be different, but if it's not Paraiba of the color of these Paraibas, it is going to jump out at you. If this were the same thing, all three of them through this would look pretty much the same. But the Paraibas, they never go red through the Chelsea filter. But when you know that one is Paraiba and you use it as your master stone, you have something against which to compare it when you're looking at other stones that are being represented as Paraiba. And I have some that are more blue. These are almost sapphire blue color. This particular
I think they're now
batch is
saying
three.
that we go by Cuprian because so many
Yes.
people are trying to call their stones Paraiba,
Right,
including ones from Madagascar.
Right, and I'm glad you raised that because the reality is I have them from all of the locations, okay? The actual Paraiba from the original source, and then there's another source that was discovered later that's nearby, still Paraiba, but that original Paraiba material has the highest copper content, and it's the vividness of its color is unrivaled, and it is different from the Paraiba from the other places. Now, the Madagascar stuff is quite beautiful, and it comes close, but it's still not the same thing. And you can see the different reaction even through the filter, it doesn't go red. But the color is slightly different because they are not the same thing, chemically speaking.
Any other
So-
questions, Clemens?
Yeah, another one is again on the Chelsea filter. What's the color of the pink topaz on the Chelsea filter? So this is easy. That must be red, I think, because it's colored by chromium.
Right, and it should get, unless there's iron, and there are different sources of pink topaz today, and I haven't checked all of them. Generally speaking, a pink topaz, unfortunately, the only pink topaz I have here right now are the foil-backed ones, so they're not going to be helpful. And I'm just thinking, do I have?
We won't be able to see it even if you find it, Antoinette, unfortunately.
But the pink topaz should have a very nice reaction through the Chelsea filter. Anything that has chromium or cobalt should have a good, strong reaction through the Chelsea filter, unless there is sufficient iron to block that reaction. Okay, so why does Colombian emerald and some of the emerald from Brazil and some of the emerald from other parts of the world, why does it go red through the Chelsea filter, but the emerald from other places doesn't go red through the Chelsea filter? It's not because there isn't chromium in it. There is, but there's also iron present, which is blocking the reaction that you're seeing.
Yeah, maybe I can add from my side, you can also use long wave UV light. It also gives you a nice fluorescence in the topaz.
Oh, absolutely. I thought we were just talking Chelsea filter. Oh, absolutely right. The UV lamp has a gorgeous,
Not going to be able to demonstrate it.
I just wish I had one here. If I had my box with my teaching stones, which is in the other room, I have some natural pink topazes. But under the UV lamp, I love to look at both ruby and pink topaz because they really look nice under the UV lamp. But the Chelsea filter is more readily portable most of the time, unless you have one of these, and these you have to be sure the batteries are really charged and it's giving out the full output that it's capable of giving out.
Were there any other questions?
A chance, and this is a pink topaz from Katlang, and
Oh, wow.
with the laser.
Oh, now look at that. That's fabulous. And
Unfortunately,
if you had it on black
Yeah.
background, you can put behind it.
let me see if I can borg anything with my nice body.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the best reaction that you can get. So this works nicely with the pink topaz from all locations, and actually you just have 3 locations where you have real natural pink topaz. There's Ouro Preto in Brazil, that's Sanarkar in Russia, and that's Katlang from Pakistan.
The
Now I'm
Russian
going to have to
material.
pay you a big bonus for doing that, Clemens.
Yeah, sure.
Have a black pad or something you could hold up behind it so we could see it really pop. I think he's going to get one.
Anyway, thank you so much, Antoinette. I really, really appreciate you taking the time and the effort to put together this talk. What do you got going on there, Clemens?
He has a black case that
Oh,
will
black
work.
case. Okay, there we go. He's
Yes.
taking guidance from you, Antoinette.
I see it even more dramatically, even at a
beautiful.
distance.
Yeah, that's pretty much the best I can do now.
Pretty good.
It's really glowing.
Yeah, it's really glowing. By the way, I should point out to you, Clemens, I just had a birthday on the 10th of November. So topaz is my birthstone. And I would not be unhappy if you sent me that specimen. I'd be delighted to accept it from you.
I would
Because-
love to, but the problem is my birthday is the 9th of November, so I'm a day ahead.
9th and I'm the 10th. And my sister Karen is the 9th.
Oh,
But
really? Didn't know
I
that.
think my year is different. I was 1945. How about you?
Yeah, 1973. But
Yeah,
still,
he's just a baby.
yeah.
Anyway, For those who
But
have
listen,
persevered,
I am in the last year. I am in the last year of my 70s, and I am planning to make this my most interesting year ever.
Catherine,
I'm gonna
why
try
don't
to
you
find new
congratulate your
minds.
sister? Turn off your muting.
Oh, can I do that?
Yeah.
Right. Can you hear?
I can hear you. I can hear you, Catherine.
Yeah. Well, that was very nice. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Antoinette and Clemens and Ray, and all the comments that I've been seeing here on the side. Excellent. So
I have to look at those comments. I don't dare look while I'm in the middle of what I'm
oh,
trying
yeah,
to
no,
say.
my only negative thing was, can we skip the fluorescence? Because it was missing the camera and everything. It was frustrating.
I've never done it on a computer
I know.
and trying to wind it up with that
I
thing.
know. You were trying so hard. It was like, just skip it. But thank you all. I'm gonna actually skedaddle. But
So
Allah.
are you gonna wish me a happy birthday when I can actually see you?
Well, hopefully I'll be able to see you and we can celebrate.
Oh,
So
Hey,
I look
guys.
forward.
Now you've had a family reunion online, which is awesome.
well,
But I just want to
nice.
tell everybody that's persevered to this point, thank you for your perseverance and your interest. I hope that you've learned a little bit of something even beyond the basics you already knew. Has been so colorfully described by Antoinette. Thank you, Antoinette, for doing that. And I'd like to just to remind you that we will not be back online doing a program until the end of January. So I'll probably be broadcasting from Tucson. But at any rate, we'll let you know in good time who the speaker will be. And I'm hoping that we'll have an interesting program and a group of interesting programs in the year to come. So thank you for your support during this year.
Also, if anybody does have any questions that they think of later, if they let you know, I have no problem with you giving them my email address and they can email me and I'll be happy to answer anyone's
Oh,
subsequent.
that's very kind and generous, Antoinette. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyway, so that's probably one of the more interesting programs we've had for a while. Covered the basics and done so colorfully and well. Thank you for your patience with me, Antoinette, and trying to sort of guide you through the program. I think we all appreciate it and we all learned something. So have a great Christmas, New Year's. We'll see you in 2025. And thank you, Clemens, once again for hosting us and putting in the work to help make this happen. And thank all of you for attending. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you, Ray.
Goodbye, everyone.